So it's finally happening. BRICS have released their payment card on their decentralized payment system, which I imagine will also be built on the blockchain. And this is pretty big news, as I imagine these really, really strong countries, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China. That one's actually South Africa, but the big play here is Saudi Arabia. These countries have an economic goal in mind, and one of those goals is to make the US weaker. And them uniting forces with all these countries who want to join and start agreeing to use this currency is going to slowly replace the US dollar, which will be bad news for America, of course. So, pretty big news. I'll update you if there's more.
This shift is real and it's happening. So my fellow Africans abroad or at home, we need to get on top of this as soon as possible, or we're going to get lost in it again. Now, what does it mean for the continent if they start gaining dominance? It means a change in the global financial system, which is exactly what 9 of the top players are coming after. They want the US dollar out and the international trading system, which is SWIFT, to be dealt with, because those things have the world's economy in a chokehold, especially Africa.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, guys, we're going to be reacting to the new BRIC note that has just been released, right?
Right, and we're also going to be reacting to the reaction of people when the new banknote was released. And finally, we'll end our reactions with Ramaphosa's speech where he was addressing Putin. Ramaphosa, for those who don't know, is the president of South Africa, and South Africa is one of the BRICS nations, yeah?
Right.
So he addressed Putin in regards to Israel and the Gaza situation and how he took the matter to ICJ, and ICJ are yet to do anything about it. So before we talk too much, let's watch this video and then we come back and talk about it.
Before we leave, I feel like it's important to mention other African countries have also joined the BRICS, including Uganda, who is the neighboring country to Kenya in East Africa, right?
Yeah, and if you can remember, Kenya was designated a NATO ally, whatever that means.
Right.
Yeah, also Nigeria has joined BRICS.
They're normally referred to as the giants of Africa.
They have joined. Okay, Nigerians refer to themselves as the giants of Africa. South Africa also refer to themselves as the giant of Africa. So now the 2 giants of Africa are in BRICS.
What does that mean? But Kenya, of course, Kenya
with our sellout president had to be the only one. Anyway,
guys, let's watch and then we are coming back
to talk about it.
You know what? Let's take Africa's international trade as an example. It's mainly done through the US dollar, meaning anytime African nations want to buy or sell commodities like oil, minerals, you name it, they got to put it through the dollar. So if you have shillings, birr, or even dirham or any African currency and you want to make a big purchase, yeah, make sure you convert that guy into US dollars. Then you can go ahead and buy a new port or a new train station. And listen, don't ask me why it's structured this way. Clearly, we weren't alive when they made the US dollar a universal reference point. And let me tell you another big problem. Africa's debts... Oh, see, this photo always scares me when I put it. Look at them, just looking at us. Africa's debts are dollar denominated, meaning all of y'all who borrowed money have to repay those loan backs in US dollars, not in your own currency. I could just hear some of you guys saying, what's the problem? Here's the problem. The US dollar is considered to be a stable global currency, right? Now, who controls the fluctuation of currency? The global market. Does Africa have a strong market? No. So what happened to our currencies? They fluctuate the most, and most likely they go down. So what happens on that loan? Well, you end up paying more of your local currency to settle that debt. Now, what happens if you can't settle that debt on time? Those are my favorite cases, okay? Because that's when debt restructuring program kicks in. Now listen, we didn't even get into the reserves, so I'm gonna do another video for that.
My people, breaking news. Nigeria and Uganda have joined BRICS. Yes, at the ongoing BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia, it has been confirmed that 13 more countries will become members of BRICS, and indeed, Nigeria and Uganda are part of the 13. Last year, from the Africa continent, Egypt and Ethiopia joined BRICS. And now we have Nigeria, Uganda, and of course, Algeria joining BRICS. How many more countries will join? Will we see more countries from Africa joining? I mentioned that Burkina Faso has already expressed interest in joining BRICS, but hey, who knows how many more countries would like to join BRICS. As usual, I have brought the news to you.
President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Ramaphosa.
Your Excellency President Vladimir Putin, Your Excellencies leaders of BRICS nations, Your Excellencies leaders of global and regional institutions, Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, honorable ministers and excellencies. Allow me to begin by congratulating President Putin on chairing a very successful BRICS summit, as well as leading us all to adopt an excellent declaration from this summit. The BRICS outreach and BRICS Plus engagements are important platforms for developing strong ties amongst countries from greater global south and emerging markets. We should use these platforms to foster meaningful engagement. We should use the BRICS platform to contribute to social, economic, cultural development of our peoples. We welcome the Russian initiatives that are aimed at strengthening a number of BRICS countries through the various measures that they have put on the table, such as transport networks and connectivity. This in many ways will help to find ways to integrate and deepen our interconnectedness in new and imaginative ways. The African Continental Free Trade Area will make a huge contribution itself to unlock opportunities for trade and investment for local and global businesses. It will create a number of opportunities that will lead to an integrated and connected continent. The Single African Air Transport Market is another flagship project of the African Union Agenda 2063. This is an initiative of the African Union to create a single unified air transport market in Africa to support the continent's economic integration. For BRICS and friends of BRICS, we need to use these projects to further connect the greater global south. The promotion of greater regional connectivity and trade facilitation can only succeed in an environment of peace and stability. Excellencies, South Africa is concerned about the military action by the State of Israel against the people of Gaza, which we have characterized as genocide, is deeply concerning. This genocide led South Africa to approach the International Court of Justice with a view to stopping the killing of innocent women and children in Gaza. We do believe that the world cannot just sit by and watch the slaughter of innocent people continuing. South Africa has been unwavering in its support towards all efforts aimed at the establishment of a viable Palestinian state, existing side by side in peace with Israel, within internationally recognized borders based on the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. And this would be in line with all UN resolutions, international law, and internationally agreed parameters. We do call on the international community and the United Nations Security Council to address this spiraling conflict. On our own continent, Africa, Sudan enters its second year of horrific conflict and devastation. This is another conflict that the world seems to have forgotten about. The protracted conflicts in the Sahel and Great Lakes regions in Africa persist. We must find lasting solutions to all these conflicts. We must remain committed to the peaceful resolution of all disputes through negotiation and inclusive dialogue. And we must safeguard the ability of states to pursue independent foreign policy. And we must safeguard the multilateral system, because it is the cornerstone of international relations that fosters an environment of peace and development. Existing global institutional mechanisms need to be both strengthened and reformed to play a constructive role in the international peace and security.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section, right? What do you feel about BRICS? Our audience, I'd like to hear that from you.
Yeah, I feel like the countries that are now joining BRICS, especially the African countries that have taken faith to join the BRICS, are better off than the countries that will join much, much later when BRICS has done the bigger lion's share of falling down NATO and the American dollar. They have to pay much more than what the African countries that are joining in right now are paying. And plus, some people are viewing this as a positive for Africa because as it is, one lady here said that Africans are paying the US dollar debt in dollars, meaning our currency are still weak and we are still going to be in debt. And right now, as it stands, one BRICS banknote is equals to 24 US dollars, meaning the countries that are going to be trading with BRICS, they're gonna find a more stable way of paying their debts to the Americas than
the countries that are not. Another thing I want to say, guys, is it's quite obvious that this BRIC note, and let's just say one of the agendas in the BRIC agendas here is to fall down the American dollar and also America as a superpower country, right? And you know, some people were asking on the comment section from the video of the videos, one of the videos we got, who designated America to be the American dollar to be the most valuable currency and the only and my thing is, what I want to say about it is, I feel like right now the world is taking a shift, especially when it comes to
and they're ready to move on from the dollar and the control.
So the world is taking a big shift when it comes to world politics, when it comes to world economy. And let's just say American government has been acting like a big bully to other countries for the longest time, and this was just meant to happen.
And also, to answer your question of who designated America as the central reserve for everybody, I think that this is just my theory. After World War II happened, how it happened, and then America
what happened
also
to Japan.
What happened to Japan and America pouring the Hiroshima. I feel like when they had that meeting, America was more in a stable ground than the other countries where the war was happening in Europe and the rest. So I feel like back then they saw it as a logical to let America be in charge of that, so considering guys, they had
right. So guys, let us know what you think about this episode. Another thing I want to bring across is, have you mentioned, even in the BRICS summit, for those who've not watched the whole clip, China and Russia were sitting closely, right?
These people are bad. It makes you feel like, those two best friends, for example, when you're in a classroom or in a workplace, and then they're just these two best friends who seem to have their shit figured out, and then you're just like, why can't I have a best friend like this one?
Right. So it's quite concerning to some people how China and Russia are this close, right? What it means for the world economics and politics alike. And you also look at the recent person who was included in this bromance, North Korea. And you're like, it's quite inevitable. The end of the American dollar is inevitable. It's just a time, a question of when.
And of course, it won't happen today or tomorrow, but the change is coming unless, Putin is unalived, God forbid.
I don't think, unless God just decides to take him home, I don't think he's he's the most protected person right now, because I feel like there's a direction he wants to lead the
world as a general.
Yeah. And you also look at another key player in this whole situation. Let's go to the Middle East, right? Saudi Arabia. These are the countries that were trading with the US dollar, things to do with oil trades, right? Resources. And if Saudi Arabia right now is pro-BRICS, and they also get to a point where they do away with the dollar. The exchanging with the dollar currency. Like, it's just, what I'm saying basically is just that it's a matter of time before what is meant to happen happens. And America, I don't know how this is going to look for them, but I feel like it's one of those days where you have to say that people have to be prepared, and they have to start wrapping their brains around the fact that America might no longer be, most definitely will no longer be the superpower it used to be. Do you remember those days, even when they used to show us in movies how many of you have watched the series Madam Secretary?
That was a good one.
Exactly. One thing they used to threaten other countries with, we're gonna slap you with sanctions, right?
Yeah, nowadays countries like Iran,
they don't care.
Iran and Russia, China, they don't care. They don't give a damn.
Right, I'm telling you. And then another thing they used to threaten other countries about was the nuke thing, you know?
Hey, especially in the movie Madam Secretary, that woman loved to use the phrase, a nuke will be sitting on your lap before you know it.
So you guys, anyway, you let us know what you think about this, because it's not looking good for America, especially for the fact that at the point where we are at, there was a time where America used to be the land of milk and honey. America
right
used to be the home of
that,
opportunities.
Yeah, right now you can find that land of milk and honey literally anywhere
but
everywhere.
America.
Well, also America in some places.
In some places and in some conditions, because as it is, America is having a problem even providing the basic needs to its citizens. You get what I'm saying?
And you know,
housing,
whoever said that, every empire must come to an end. It takes 200 to 400 years, but it eventually comes to a fall. Another empire is born.
It's gotten really bad when its own citizens are moving away abroad to other nations, and they're like
in search of cheaper but alternative
better lifestyle. And you're like, why didn't I do it sooner? So those are just the early signs of the crumbling of the empire. Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about the new banknote. I don't know if some of you have seen it. I have seen it.
I feel like it looks like it's really cool. It looks good.
Yeah. And it's the inclusivity of the BRIC nations. I think it's well designed. I don't know. Anyway, let us know what you think about
this. Took his time with it.
Putin. Anyway, guys, let's catch you on our next episode.
Also consider subscribing if you're new to this channel so that you can be getting our notifications.